Hey Doc Squad, Dr. White here with the Business Analysis Doctor. Today, I'm giving a tutorial on use case descriptions. But before we get started, if you want more business analysis training and tips, be sure to subscribe to the page and click the notification bell. With that said, let's get started. All right, so use cases generally come in two forms: a use case diagram and use case descriptions. The use case diagram is useful for representing the simple interaction of how an actor interacts with the system. However, when we need the details of how this interaction works, the use case description is often required to supplement the diagram. So here's what you'll learn today. We'll look at what a use case description is, the main components of a use case description, an example of a use case description, and then we'll look at some use case description best practices. So what is a use case? A use case is a functionality in a system that will allow a user to achieve a goal. A use case description is a narrative that describes the relationships between actors and a solution and the details of how the interaction works. One thing to note is that a use case description is also called use case specification. Now let's look at the main components of a use case description. This includes the name, actors, preconditions, triggers, postconditions, flow of events, and scenarios. The name is a unique name that represents the goal of the use case. It generally includes a verb, which is an action taken by an actor, and a noun, which is what is being acted upon. For example, assign task. An alternate name for a use case is the requirement ID. This is the unique ID and statement of the requirement from which the use case is derived from. All use cases should be traced back to a solution requirement. Now, the actor is any person or external system that uses or interacts with the solution to achieve the goal. Each actor is given a role to represent their interaction with the solution. The names of human actors should be in the form of a role and should not specify an actual name. Actors generally fall within the category of primary or secondary. Now, the primary actor is an actor that can initiate a use case. The secondary actor is an actor that reacts or responds to system responses or actions made by the primary actor. Preconditions are conditions that are assumed to be in place before the use case can begin. This may act as a constraint to the completion of the use case. A trigger is an event that initiates the flow of events in a use case. Sometimes the trigger can also be the first step in the use case, but it's not always the case. Sometimes the trigger doesn't even have to occur for the use case to begin. Triggers can either be actor actions or a temporal event. Actor actions are when an action is taken by the primary actor as an input that initiates the use case. This is the most common type of trigger. A temporal event is a time-related event that may trigger a use case. It's commonly used when actions need to be executed during a specific time of day or on a specific date. Postconditions are the conditions in the form of guarantees that must be in place when the use case is complete for all possible flows, including the main success path, the alternate path, as well as the exception path. Guarantees may be referred to as success guarantees or minimum guarantees. The success guarantees are the conditions that must be in place when the main success path or alternate path is successfully executed. The minimal guarantee are the conditions that must be in place even when the exception path is taken and the actor's goal is not achieved. This may address non-functional requirements such as security. The next component is the flow of events, or flows. This is the set of steps that must be taken by the actor and the solution while the use case is being performed. Generally, use cases consist of a main success path, alternate paths, and exception paths. Now, the main success path, which is highlighted here, this occurs when the inputs from the actors and the system responses represent the most common successful path to accomplish the actor's goal. Also, when discussing use cases, the terms flow and path are interchangeable. The next flow of events is the alternate path. Here, the inputs from the actors and the system responses represent a less common path to accomplish the actor's goal. Now, here, even though the alternate path deviates from the main success path, it should re-enter the main path at some point in order to achieve the actor's goal. And the last flow of event is called the exception path. Here, the inputs from the actors and the system responses represent an unsuccessful path when the actor's goal is unachievable. The exception path does not re-enter the main path and should always end with use case ends. A scenario describes one way an actor can accomplish a specific goal. This is a single path written in a series of steps performed by an actor or the solution. The use case is composed of a collection of scenarios. The main success path, alternate path, and exception path are all types of scenarios that may be included in a use case. Now, the difference between a flow and a scenario is that scenarios describes the main success path, alternate paths, and exception paths from start to finish. Flows, on the other hand, always start with the main success path, then extracts the alternates or exceptions in order to document a subset of steps that delineate from the main success path. And this is done to reduce redundancy in documentation. Now let's look at an example of a use case description. In my last video, we discussed the use case diagram. For more on that, you can click on the link in the description. But for now, let's talk about transitioning from a use case diagram to a use case description. Here is a use case diagram for a banking system. For this demonstration, we'll focus on narrating the complete online transaction use case. This will also include the two sub-use cases in which it has a generalization relationship with. Now, while complete online transaction will be the name of the use case description, the sub-use cases will serve as the main flow and the alternate flow. Then we'll use our primary actor from the diagram as our actor for the specification document. Also, in this particular case, the included login use case will translate into the precondition for this specification. Now, this isn't always the case, but in this situation, it fits. So our use case template looks like this when it's filled out, but for illustrative purposes, I'll be extracting different components so that I can better explain the concepts. All right, so let's start with the basics. Again, our use case name is complete online transaction. Now, the requirement ID could also be associated with the name. In most cases, the use case should be derived from a solution requirement, mainly functional requirements. The actor is the customer. We see that our precondition is that the customer must be logged into the system. Our trigger is that a payment is due, and this is an example of a temporal event, which is a time-driven event. And so our post condition is that the payment is logged in the transaction history. Now let's move on to the main success path, which again is the primary flow, the basic flow, but it's really the most common path or flow to achieve the use case goal. Now in the description box here, you want to provide a general description of the use case, including the goal to be achieved and when it ends. Notice the flow here in this template is separated by actor actions and system responses. Not all approaches do this, but I think it adds clarity. A common metaphor for the interaction here is a tennis match or a ping pong table because of the back and forth nature of the actions and the responses. One thing to keep in mind here is that you need to keep the numbering of the steps in the sequence for which they occur, regardless of the column it's in. This becomes essential when you're dealing with alternate and exception flows. Now, remember, the use case should always end with a step that makes it clear that the use case is complete. So as you can see here, you start with the actor action here, you go on to the system response, actor action, system response. Now, it's not always a one-to-one relationship here. Sometimes an actor action can prompt two system responses in a row. So that situation would kind of look like this. And then you would continue on back to the actor actions and then the system responses. And again, you would end with some type of step to let you know that the use case is complete. So, a lot of the times when you're making some type of payment, you would see some type of confirmation page here. Now let's look at the alternate path, AKA the alternate flow. You can have as many alternate flows as necessary, which is why the alternate flow should have a alternate flow ID or unique ID. In this case, it's called A1-3A. This indicates that it's the first alternate flow in the use case, while the 3A indicates that the flow alternates from the main flow at step 3. In the alternate flow description here, you want to describe how the step in the alternate flow is different from that of the main flow. Now, as you can see here, we continue on with the sequence of steps that the alternate flow takes using the same format as the main flow. Now, remember that the alternate flow is just an excerpt of steps from the use case that deviates from the main flow. So you'll start here where the alternate path begins and go throughout your sequence here. The alternate flow always ends by continuing back into the primary flow to continue the use case. So while the documentation only includes the steps on the alternate path, experientially, you would start with the first step, continue on to step 2, then go to steps 3 through 9, and then continue back here to step 8, and then finish out the use case to complete the actor's goal. Now let's look at the exception flow. The exception flow here is when the customer has insufficient funds. Much like the alternate flow, you can have as many exceptions to the use case as needed. So you would also want to provide a unique name for the exception. It's also helpful to indicate the step where the exception occurs. So here we've got E1-10A. So this indicates that this is the first exception, and the exception happens at step 10 from the main flow. So to document the exception, you simply begin with the step that creates the exception, and then you end with use case ends. Now, this is a key delineation between the alternate flow and the exception flow. The alternate flow allows the use case to be completed by re-entering back into the main flow, while the exception flow does not and should always end with use case ends. So when the customer experiences an exception, the individual would go through steps 1 through 9 here, and then the exception would occur here at step 10, and then the additional steps would happen, and then the use case would end. So to discuss the scenario section, I'll be combining the steps of the main flow and the alternate flow into one specific scenario to outline the user's interaction. Remember that the main flow is a scenario, while the alternate and exception flows are excerpts of a scenario that has some variances from the main flow. Now let's look at scenarios. So to create additional scenarios outside of the main path, you would integrate the alternate or exception flow steps to the main flow steps that are still applicable when it occurs. In this example, I'll be swapping out the steps from the main flow and filling them in with the steps from the alternate flow in order to form a specific scenario. So the scenario of a customer making a transfer can be documented as a full scenario on its own versus being documented as an excerpt of a varying flow. Generally, you would only document scenarios that are important enough to be called out separately from the main flow, alternate flow, or exception flow. Again, you can have as many scenarios as required, so each one will have to have a unique ID and a description to describe the key goal and when it's complete. So in this particular example, instead of swapping out to the alternate flow, this documents the first initial step, the system responses, all the way down to the use case being completed. So as you can see, the scenarios are much more comprehensive than the alternate flows and the exception flows because these include the main success path steps in addition to the alternate flow steps. So you're documenting those scenarios from start to finish. All right, now let's look at some use case description best practices. First, use a consistent template or format. Using the same template across the organization helps stakeholders get familiar with the structure of the use case. Also, preconditions and postconditions should be testable and verifiable. These must be written in a way to clearly determine if the condition has been satisfied. Next, human actors should have defined roles. Having a generalized role such as user can lead to ambiguity, especially if there are multiple actors. Without a specific role, it's unclear which actors are performing which functions. The only time user is appropriate as a role is if the function applies to all users with no role-based variances. Then each line in the use case should include a verb-noun format. Verbs convey action while the noun conveys the subject, which is the thing that's being acted upon. The statements should also be in active voice. This clarifies who is doing what. You also want to use the appropriate level of detail. Generally, use cases can have about 10 to 15 steps. Also, be sure to omit design details such as colors, field locations, button names, etc. Including too many details make the use case difficult to read and navigate through. Also, business rules should not be documented in use cases. These should be managed separately in the appropriate specification document. Again, this superfluous information can make the use case hard to read. And finally, decision path should not be captured in the main flow. Any if-then statements should not be included in the main flow. That would be an indicator that the varying step needs to be documented as an alternate flow or an exception flow. Well, that's what you need to know to outline a clearly articulated use case description. If you learned something new or liked the video, tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. Also, be sure to check out all of the business analysis training and certification resources at thebadoc.com. That's THEBADOC.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a productive and prosperous day. Until next time, bye now.